1. Let me begin with a question that might make you pause and think for a moment. If a disease is caused by what we eat every day, could we possibly heal it by changing what we eat? I've been a doctor for over 30 years, and one thing that still troubles me is this. Why do we call type 2 diabetes a chronic disease when most of my patients weren't born with it, but developed it slowly over time? One bite, one habit at a time. Type 2 diabetes doesn't just happen overnight. It creeps in, quietly. From meals loaded with refined carbs, to a daily can of soda, constant snacking, or that late-night cookie. Nothing feels dangerous until one day your blood sugar's too high and stays there. I once treated a man named Henry, 58 years old. He wasn't lazy or careless. He just believed what he ate was normal. But that normal led him to 20 years of meds, injections, and the fear of going blind. One day I told him, "Henry, this disease started at your dinner table, so that's exactly where we need to start fixing it." And he just went quiet. For the first time in years, I didn't prescribe more meds. I asked him to take less, and he did it. By changing how he ate, cutting out sugars, refined carbs, and processed food, while adding more greens, clean proteins, and whole ingredients. Henry slowly got off medication. Then one day he called me and said, "Doc, I just tested my blood sugar. It's normal. No meds. I never thought this day would come." I'm not telling you this to give false hope. I'm telling you because type 2 diabetes is not a life sentence. It's a wake-up call, a chance to reflect on how we've been living and to choose a different path. If you're living with diabetes, ask yourself, am I feeding the disease or am I feeding my health? And if you've never believed that you could change your outcome, maybe today is the day you start, because sometimes a new future begins with just one better meal. 2, I want you to take a deep breath and sit with me for a moment. Let's talk about something most people living with type 2 diabetes have wondered, but don't always say out loud. Is medication really fixing the problem? After more than 30 years as a physician, I've seen this story play out too many times. A patient starts with one small pill, then another, then insulin. At first, blood sugar improves, but it's only temporary. The dosage keeps rising, but the body keeps resisting. And that's when people start to realize the medicine is treating the symptoms, not the root cause. Let me help you picture this. Your body is like a locked door. Insulin is the key that opens it so sugar can enter your cells. But if you keep using that key over and over, every single day, for years, the lock gets worn out. Eventually, the key stops working. That's what we call insulin resistance. And the more insulin you use, the more resistant your body becomes. I once treated a patient, Joe, 64 years old. He'd been living with diabetes for over a decade. He started with just a low-dose pill in the morning. But over time, it wasn't enough. His doctor added more meds, then insulin. One day, Joe looked at me and said, "Doc, the more medicine I take, the worse I feel. What am I doing wrong?" And that hit me. We've been trained to treat diabetes like it's a lifelong sentence, but in reality, it's a warning sign. Your body is overloaded. It's not just about sugar. It's about stress, poor sleep, unhealthy food, and years of habits that wear your system down. Medication can help, yes, but it's like a crutch. It holds you up. It doesn't rebuild your strength. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying stop your medicine, but what I am saying is, if you want real, lasting change, it starts with your lifestyle, your plate, your mindset. Health doesn't live in a pill bottle. It lives in the small choices you make every single day. And I promise you, even the smallest change today can lead to a much better tomorrow. 3, I want you to imagine this. You walk into your usual pharmacy. The pharmacist smiles, hands you the same bag of medications you've been picking up for years. Pills for diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Each pill has a purpose. Each day has its routine. And then a quiet question crosses your mind. How long will I live like this? I'm a 60-year-old physician who has spent decades working with older adults, and there's something I need to tell you, something modern science has made abundantly clear. Over 50% of people with type 2 diabetes can enter remission simply by changing the way they eat. What does that mean? It means you could be free from daily medications. It means fewer risks of stroke, heart disease, or kidney failure. It means reclaiming a life you may have thought was already out of reach through something as simple as food. I remember a patient named Linda, 58 years old, a kind woman who always thought of herself as healthy until her doctor diagnosed her with diabetes. She told me, "I don't want to live chained to medication." And I said, "Let's start with your plate." She cut back on refined carbs, gave up soda, added more greens, healthy fats, and kept her portions in check. No starvation, no extreme diets, just learning to nourish her body the right way. 6 months later, her blood sugar returned to normal. A year later, she was completely off medication. She told me, "For the first time in years, I feel like I'm back in control." As a doctor, I've seen too many people treat illness as a life sentence. But the truth is, type 2 diabetes is not a one-way street. Even if you've had it for years, even if you're on medication now, there is still a chance. The key is in your hands, not in the newest prescription, but in the choices you make, at every meal, every walk, every day. Have you ever thought that one small change could open the door to an entirely new life? I believe it can, and I've seen it happen, again and again. Now, it's your turn. 4. I want you to imagine this. It's a quiet morning. You're sitting by the window, sunlight softly pouring through the leaves, and you're preparing a simple breakfast. Maybe it's a boiled egg, a crisp apple, a handful of almonds. These small, ordinary foods can actually be the foundation of something much bigger: balanced blood sugar and long-term health. As a doctor who has walked alongside thousands of patients over 50, I've seen so many who once believed that diabetes meant the end of joy in eating. But let me tell you this: eating right doesn't mean giving up pleasure. It means reclaiming balance. One of my patients, Helen, 67 years old, once said to me, "I don't want to spend the rest of my life eating bland food." But she later discovered something powerful. If you choose the right foods, you don't have to eat boring to manage your blood sugar. So what are the right foods? Green vegetables are always my first recommendation. Kale, broccoli, beans. They're rich in fiber, which slows down sugar absorption, and full of antioxidants that protect your blood vessels, something especially important for people with diabetes. Low-sugar fruits like apples, pears, and berries are great for satisfying your sweet tooth without spiking your blood sugar. Berries, especially blueberries, contain anthocyanins, compounds shown in studies to improve insulin sensitivity. Clean proteins, from fatty fish like salmon and mackerel to unprocessed red meat and whole eggs, help you stay full, maintain muscle, and provide steady energy without sudden sugar spikes. Healthy fats like olive oil, avocado, and coconut oil don't just add flavor. They slow down carb absorption, which helps keep blood sugar stable after meals. And don't forget unsalted nuts, almonds, walnuts, peanuts. They're excellent snacks, rich in good fats and magnesium, which supports better glucose metabolism. You see, there's no need for fancy diets or exotic superfoods. What you need is a few wise choices and a little consistency. Because food, when chosen with intention, is not just nourishment, it's medicine. It's your ally. A patient once told me, "Doc, I thought managing diabetes meant cutting everything I love. But today, he's off medication, his blood sugar is stable, and he's back to enjoying life, all by choosing the right foods." So let me ask you, have you started your right plate today? 5. I want you to imagine this. You've just finished dinner, something simple. A little rice, a piece of fish, some sautéed greens. Nothing extravagant. You get up, turn on the TV, sit back on the couch, and you don't realize that your blood sugar is quietly climbing. No alarm bells, no warning signs. But day after day, year after year, It slowly brings you closer to complications: stroke, kidney failure, nerve damage. As a doctor who's worked with many patients over 50, I get it. None of us want to be tied to medications forever. But here's the thing. Real change doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to begin. One of my patients, Linda, 68 years old, once told me, "I'm too old to start over." And I looked at her and said, "You don't need to start over. You just need to start a little." Here are 3 small habits I've seen transform lives. 1. Intermittent fasting. I know it sounds extreme at first, but simply eating within a specific time window allows your body to rest. When insulin levels drop, your body starts clearing out extra sugar from your bloodstream. Some of my patients begin by eating only between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. They lower their meds, their sugar levels drop, and best of all, they feel lighter and more energized. 2. A 10-minute walk after meals. I always say, you don't need a gym, just a pair of comfortable shoes. A light walk after eating helps your muscles use glucose right away, preventing blood sugar spikes. It's like telling your body, let's use this energy now, not store it. 3. Stop the constant snacking. Not because snacking is evil, but because it keeps your insulin levels high all day. Every time you eat, even if it's just a handful of nuts or fruit, your body shifts back into fat storage mode. Give it a break. Let it burn off what it already has. I'm not telling you this to make you feel guilty. I'm telling you this so you feel hopeful. If Linda, 68, set in her ways can do it, you can too. And I truly believe, when we make one small, consistent change each day, it's enough to shift our entire path toward health. Because sometimes, to heal, we don't need to add more. We just need to gently take a little away. 6. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine your body as a bustling city. Every cell is like a tiny home, working day and night. But over time, just like any city, it collects garbage, damaged proteins, worn-out parts, and little bits that no longer serve a purpose. And if that junk piles up, well, things start breaking down. That's where this beautiful process called autophagy comes in. It's your body's natural housekeeping system. Now here's the cool part. When you fast, meaning you take a break from eating for a while, your body shifts into cleanup mode. It stops focusing on digesting new food and starts recycling the old stuff. It goes through each cell, finds the broken parts, the junk, the stuff that doesn't work anymore, and cleans house. It's like hitting the reset button. I had a patient, Linda, 68 years old, sweet woman. She came in and said, "Doc, I don't get it. I'm eating less, but I feel better." What she didn't know was that by simply giving her body a break, she triggered one of its most powerful healing tools. 2 months later, she'd lost a few pounds, her skin looked brighter, she was sleeping better, and her blood pressure? Rock solid. But autophagy isn't just about cleanup. During this process, your body actually boosts growth hormone, which helps repair tissue, build muscle, and keep you feeling strong and vibrant. Isn't that incredible? Here's the thing. Our bodies are wired to heal. If we give them space, they know what to do. No fancy pills, no complicated programs. Just a little time to rest, to reset. I'm not saying fasting is a magic fix for everyone. But if you're over 50 and feeling tired, sluggish, or just not quite yourself, maybe it's time to let your body breathe. Step back. Slow down. Let it do what it was built to do. You might be surprised at just how powerful your body really is.